So the CDC came out yesterday quietly and also unceremoniously
for my sub gift.
and decided, hey, remember when we told you need to quarantine for 10 days when you get COVID? That was just a meme. That was, you don't need to quarantine for 10 days. Come on. Come on. You can quarantine for 5 days instead.
Omicron is a
CDC shortens recommended COVID-19 isolation and quarantine time where they decided, just 5 days. 5. Not a big deal. Come on. Whew. Now, the unceremonious and interesting part about this is that normally when they shorten the recommended time for people to quarantine, or when they make such a gigantic policy change like this, the CDC also shows the data. Okay? They usually release new evidence to the public. Okay? Unbiased SciPod. They usually release new evidence to the public on why they decided to shorten the isolation period. Let's talk about what they shorten it to, though.
Poggers.
CDC said, given what we currently know about COVID-19 and the Omicron variant, CDC is shortening the recommended time for isolation from 10 days for people with COVID-19 to 5 days, if asymptomatic, followed by 5 days of wearing a mask when around others. So they basically were just like, come on, just wear a mask. It'll be so nice. It'll be so nice. Just wear a mask, please. Please. People whose symptoms are getting better may also leave their homes after 5 days, so long as their symptoms are improving, the CDC also said. People who have a fever should stay home until the fever clears up, the CDC also added. The change is motivated by science demonstrating the majority of SARS-CoV-2 transmission occurs early in the course of the illness, generally in the first 2 days prior to onset symptoms and the 2 to 3 days after. Now, Nismo, thank you for the 10 gifted subs.
Stalin was right.
Now, you might be wondering, like, where the fuck did this come from? That's crazy. Well, we know for a fact that governors reached out to Joseph Robinette Biden, red state governors especially, and said, hey, you need to cut the fucking time period here. You need to turn down the 10-day quarantine time period. Everyone's getting COVID. We don't have enough fucking flight attendants. We don't have enough people getting back to work when they get COVID. These fucking disgusting piece of shit workers, these filthy fucking laborers, these filthy proletariats, these proletarian Andes over here, they get sick, and then, they take 10 days off. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. That's not acceptable. So because of that, a bunch of flights were canceled because people were just getting sick. So 7 days prior to the CDC announcement, other than the governors, there was 6 days, prior to this announcement, there was one brave man who spoke out against the CDC. And that man was the Delta CEO. Delta CEO asks CDC to cut quarantine time for breakthrough COVID cases. Now, when we say the CDC got cucked by Delta, we're not talking about the Delta variant of the virus. We're talking about, the airliner Delta. That's right. Delta Airlines chief executive asked head of the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Tuesday to shrink quarantine guidelines for fully vaccinated individuals who experience breakthrough COVID-19 infections, citing the impact on the carrier's workforce. Ed Bastian, along with company's chief health officer and a medical advisor, asked in a letter to the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, seen by Reuters, that the agency's recommended quarantine period for anyone who tests positive with a breakthrough COVID-19 infection can be reduced to 5 days from the current 10.
We just got my booster.
Oh.
Also, thanks for 14
wow.
months.
I mean, the Delta was like, dog, we know better. Okay? You think you know better, CDC? We know better. Come on. Fuck this shit. Now, Seeing this,
Bernard's just says to use your vacation days
Seeing
if you get
this.
COVID or side effects from vaccine to make up for lost pay.
reality. How are you going to fucking sit there and be like, well, I trust the CDC? How do you not feel as though this greatly undermines the CDC's integrity, overall goals that require them to have a presence of authority at least, or a presence of honesty, uninhibited by any sort of corporate or PR pressure?
15 months, baby.
This is straight up the exact same energy as the fucking Anthony Fauci coming out and saying, don't wear masks. Masks don't work in the beginning of the pandemic. And then turning around and being like, oopsie, we're wrong. Wait, now you don't trust the science? No, I still trust the science. I just don't trust when the CDC makes a decision like this 6 days after a Delta CEO tells them to lower it to 5 fucking days. And a couple days after, governors reach out to Joe Biden. And then the CDC doesn't actually include the actual data as to why they are making this drastic change. Also, maybe some people don't understand this, but I have always talked about the profit motive incentive for why people need to get vaccinated. Not because Pfizer is going to make a lot of money, but because the vaccine actually does offer protection from COVID, which is precisely why business owners wanted you to get fucking vaccinated so you could get back to work and they could work you to the fucking bone. Okay? You're flipping rightist talking points and making them your own. Lamau Holy. No, you, unfortunately, lack the processing power inside of your fucking tiny, minuscule, and incredibly smooth brain to understand what I'm talking about. I'm not. This is why I always used to get mad whenever people were like, you're pro Pfizer, you're pro big pharma. No, dumbass. I recognize that there is an incentive for business owners who want to get people to go back to work. But ultimately, I don't care because the vaccines are good at preventing people from getting into the hospital after they get COVID. Those two things are still true. That has not changed. Now, if the CDC comes out with more data and then turn around and say, hey, here's more data. We realize that the Omicron variant is not as severe and that it doesn't really matter. And, we've found that people are totally fine. Like they actually showed the data. Then I wouldn't have an issue with it at all.
Thank you for all you do, content and otherwise.
But currently,
always a pleasure being part of this community hassle.
Currently, as it stands, seems a little ridiculous and a little suspicious. You seem pretty sure that the CDC was following the science and doing the right thing back in May on masks, when it definitely was. It was definitely an economic/political decision, not a public health one. Glad to see you've changed your tune. Following the science and doing the right thing in May on masks. Yeah, I mean, I did think that straight up. And there was a brief moment of happiness and a brief moment of solace and a brief moment of feeling like we have gone past COVID. But you have to also remind yourself that, like, back in May when the vaccines first came out, we thought that everyone was going to get vaccinated and there was no Delta. So that's the main difference. The fucking respiratory illness, of course, masks are necessary in prevention. Shut up, Frogan. Fucking big public health policy masters Andy over here.
Thanks for the content, Hassan.
I have to call bullshit if the CDC was dead. And by the way, if you remember, those arguments that we had back in May revolved around the deadliness of COVID. At the time, the deadliness of COVID at the time, the regular COVID that was spreading, was lower than the fucking flu with the vaccines. And I always specified that if everyone actually gets vaccinated and everyone actually reaches, and we actually do reach the projected rate that we thought we were going to reach
Thank
back
you so
then,
much for
which
enriching
did not
my
happen. It was
investment.
laughable.
3 more months till brain
Okay.
rot sets in hassle.
Then of course we weren't going to wear masks. What did I always say? Said that like, what are you going to fucking wear masks for everybody? Force mask mandates on everyone during fucking flu season going forward? Ridiculous. And a variant that was effectively, a variant that's deadliness was going to be reduced. A variant whose lethal damage was going to be worse than the fucking regular flu, the common cold, or all manner of different things, was of course not going to be fucking, undergo the same kind of fucking scrutiny as COVID without vaccines. It's not just deadliness, though. The long-term effects are also terrifying. No, for sure. But why should we give a fuck about unvax people? Lift the mandates, let everyone unvax get it? No, because it doesn't. But that's not how that works. Then you grind hospitals to a fucking halt. One more month, Hasan, and I'll be in here with the worst takes you've ever seen. Wearing a mask during flu season is never ridiculous. No. Especially if you're getting sick, wearing a mask is not ridiculous. It's the proper thing to do. Mask mandates during flu season is, though. Whenever you look at the trends on COVID in the U.S. overall, it's insane to see the rise of cases once the mandates were removed. Vaccines became readily available to everybody in the beginning of April, and cases tanked. The Detroit urban survival guy could have died 3 times. Lamont, what? We're not going to watch that. Also, no one that works in public health or public health adjacent fields thought everyone would get vaccinated. I knew better. Okay, I understand that, but I thought better of Americans. I did not realize America was going to be this fucking stupid. Happened a couple times. This is one of those times for sure. I think the Omicron is legit. Everyone is going to get it because it's basically measles transmissibility. So everyone better be vaccinated and boosted. I also think quarantines and masks and other COVID theater becomes a lot less relevant under those circumstances. Did you get boosted? I will be getting boosted I will be getting boosted this week. Okay.
For people who test positive for COVID. New CDC guidance for people who test positive for COVID-19. The government health agency says if people are COVID positive and have no symptoms, they can now isolate for 5 days instead of 10. And they don't need a negative test to end that isolation period. They should still wear masks around others for another 5 days. New research shows the Omicron variant, the most common COVID strain in America right now, is most infectious roughly 2 days before and 3 days after the first symptoms.
And Vlad, there are also new guidance for people who have been around someone with COVID but have not tested positive themselves. If you're vaccinated with a booster and you were exposed to the virus, you will no longer need to try to stay at home or quarantine, but you should wear a mask around others for 10 days. If you are unvaccinated, you still need to try to quarantine for 5 full days after exposure.
The new guidance comes as millions of Americans return from seeing family for the holidays. At least people are trying to get home. Thousands of flights have been canceled in the last week, in part because COVID has left airlines with a short.
Again, the exact same principle as to why. Like, I never thought, even for one fucking second, that like big corporations wanted everyone to get vaccinated because they truly care about the public good. Like, they don't give a fuck. They only care about profits. Okay? That doesn't change the reality of the efficacy of the vaccines, though. Their interest in profits and getting you to get the fuck back to work does not change the reality of the vaccines being effective at stopping you from going to the fucking hospital. Don't sound like anti-vaxxer dickheads in here when 90+% of the people that have died or are in hospitals are fucking literally unvaccinated. Please stop this nonsense. It is straight up the dumbest argument you could ever put forward, okay? And that same profit-seeking attitude is literally the reason why they were able to bully the CDC into lowering, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's better data out there, that the CDC has not revealed for some reason, okay? And I'm sure they will eventually, right? I hope, because it would be insane to make such a fucking drastic change without actually showing the data to everyone so they can check it as well. Genuine question, was there the same backlash when they changed it for healthcare people a couple weeks ago? No. The reason why they didn't change, there wasn't a lot of backlash for changing this for healthcare people, though, was because you're fucking surrounded by other people that are definitely getting COVID, and also because of the need for healthcare workers inside of hospitals that are already exhausted. I think that's the reason why they were like, we'll take the L on this. Which I understand the reason for why they did that for the healthcare workers. But doing that for the entire industry is psychotic. Okay? If you don't have enough healthcare workers, you're fucked. You're dead. But, you know, when the guy working at Arby's had to go back to work, or the guy working at Best Buy had to go back to work after fucking 5 days,
Just like me,
and you just got COVID because you wanted to buy a TV, like, that sucks. Okay? Also, additionally sucks for the guy who had to go back to work 5 days after getting COVID. You're going to check the data, big guy? There is no data. They haven't released the data. This is bullshit. They're not showing data. This is not actual fucking data. Unless, literally, since this morning and now until I started the broadcast, they actually revealed extra information that I was unaware of. Other than just saying, oh no, we found out that it's, what do you call it? Yes, we need more data so we can do our own research. No, dumbass. We need more data so that other people who are actually epidemiologists can do fucking, or not do research, but like test it. Look at the fucking data. I'm not saying I'm going to do my own research. I can't fucking understand the research. What are you, stupid?
Bruh, I literally have COVID and I have to go back to work early in now pants.
Big guy's a power word for white folks? No, straight up. He hit me with the big guy. Is this the data that you're referencing? The CDC director is literally saying this to protect economic interests at the bottom of this page. CDC updates and shortens recommended isolation and quarantine period for the general population.
Whoop whoop.
The following is attributable to CDC director Dr. Rochelle Walensky. The Omicron variant is spreading quickly and has the potential to impact all facets of our society. CDC's updated recommendation for isolation and quarantine balance what we know about the spread of the virus and the protection provided by vaccination booster doses. These updates ensure people can safely continue their daily lives. Prevention is our best option. Get vaccinated, get boosted. Where is the fucking data related to their actual where is the research they conducted to show that like this is viable? I'm 8 days since symptoms started and still testing very positive on rapid tests, which suggests I'm still contagious. Yeah. Here you go. Oh, this is the other fucking thing that's incredibly triggering from the CDC. So they literally the CDC also posted this. Okay. Hospital stays can be expensive, but COVID-19 vaccines are free. Help protect yourself from being hospitalized with COVID-19 by getting vaccinated. We are the only government on the fucking planet that is literally urging people to you know, engage with a public health measure because of how fucked our medical system is otherwise. Our for-profit healthcare system is so fucked, and we're using that to get people to go get a vaccine. And then people wonder why motherfuckers don't want to get vaccinated, or why there's so much distrust in the medical system, or why there's so much distrust in the government. They're right. But how fucked is it that it's the CDC posting this? Still a government agency. It's bananas. Turks hating on USA, check. On an American website, check. With American computers, check. On the American invented internet, check. First of all, Linus made this. He's Canadian. Get fucked. Watching an American-made game, check. From a country that was liberated and protected by America, check, check, check. It's such a funny fucking idiotic take. Here it is.
Volume of new. The reason is that with the sheer volume of new cases that we are having and that we expect to continue with Omicron, one of the things we want to be careful of is that we don't have so many people out. I mean, obviously, if you have symptoms, you should not be out. But if you are asymptomatic and you are infected, we want to get people.
Dog, COVID literally is an asymptomatic spreader. Like, it's a pre-symptomatic spreader. It's fucking bananas.
As prime.
Like, this is what an incredible way to just like take everything that you have said in the past 2 years and just dookie all over it, specifically at the behest of corporations. Great. There you go. Republicans were right. Okay? Are you happy? Because anyone that watches this fucking nonsense is going to say, wait a minute, my goddamn reactionary aunt was actually correct. The Facebook memes were right. These guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. These guys have absolutely no idea what the fuck is going on. All of these measures that we've been engaging in, the healthcare theater that we've been engaging in, the public health safety measures theater that we've been engaging in is bullshit. It's nonsense. The CDC could just turn around and just be like, yeah, remember everything we told you about taking, pre-symptomatic spreaders and mask wearing and all that stuff? Well, turns out it's all fake, okay? It's phony. We were just lying to you this entire fucking time. Just get fucking COVID, and then you could get back to work 5 days later. That's right. I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci, and it's all fucking great. Every reactionary conspiratorial psychopath, at least on these measures that have been taken, are vindicated in this circumstance, okay? And worst of all, every Italiophobian, every person that is Italiophobic, Freudophobic, anti-Italian, they are going to come across like they were correct as well for the worst hate crime of all, being against people of Italian descent. Just kidding. That's actually fine. But you can say that about every time the CDC guideline is changed? Yes, but the difference is between CDC guidelines changing and changing dramatically and changing with new information. If there is no new information that they are making readily available for other epidemiologists to also go over, and they're just stating, just kidding, we can do it for 5 days now, fuck it. When people are still symptomatic at 6 days, 7 days, okay? As the fucking CDC, you're basically saying, fuck it, we were just wrong. I think we're at the fuck it, who cares stage. I'm going to be honest. I think that we're at the stage where they're like, everyone's going to get it. It's a little bit milder, get boosted, get vaccinated. If you don't, then you're fucked. You're going to get it anyway. I really think that. I think it's just like, fuck it, I think Fauci is saying, fuck it, I'm saying it, America deserved COVID. And, we might as well not upset our corporate benefactors in the process. Straight up.
Crack her?
I think we're straight up at that fucking point now.